Hi everybody, welcome back. This is Mandy from Hope Designs, and I wasn't going to record these because I've already done these colors before, and I was just making a set to put up in our Etsy shop because these were pretty popular and they sold already. But I got the Hexagon tiles in today and I'm super happy about that. I don't think the flash is on. Hold on. So I wanted to share them with you. So I just think that just makes that look so much cooler. So this is, if you remember, we did like a Blue Violet Opal a while back. There's some paint snot in there, but with a Blue Violet cell activator. Anyway, they were very popular. So I thought, well, they've sold already. I'll throw some up in our Etsy shop. And so that's why I was just going to make these today. So the only thing different that I did is I added some Violet Sparkle from Colourarte. And the Interference Violet Sparkle. So that's really the only thing that I did differently. But because they turned out so pretty, the other thing is I used a little bit more of my normal pouring medium to thin out some of my paints I had mixed up. And they were still not quite the same consistency, so I thinned them out if I needed to a little bit with either some of the Valspar that I'm trying to finish off, or Shelley actually suggested the other day that even though you really shouldn't thin out your paint mixes with just water, that she uses a ratio of like 3 parts water to 1 part Jo Sonja's gloss varnish. Look at that, so pretty. If she absolutely has to thin out her paint and like varnish isn't getting it done. And sometimes that's the case with 2 paints for this recipe. Like the paints are thick, the mixture is thick, and it may not work out very well. So let me put this down and we'll do one together. But anyway, I tried it today when I was thinning out some of my paint. And she suggests to use a dropper for it, and I would absolutely concur. My tape is not level, so I'm tempted to fix it, but I'm not going to fix it right now. But that is a really helpful tip for me, so thank you, Shelley. Which is another reason why, if you haven't taken Shelley's class to learn the bloom technique, you definitely should, because she provides ongoing tips and support for her students, which I think is really great. So although we can share things with people and try to help people who are struggling, obviously I can't tell you something amazing that she's not going to tell you. So it's just worth it. It's worth it to have the support from her and her team. So these are Hexagon tiles from Home Depot. Thank you to Jody from The Painted Dreamer. If you don't watch her channel, you should. I'll try to remember to link it. I was actually going to order the ones from, I forgot the name of that store now, the Floor and Tile place, where they're like 79 cents a piece, which isn't great in the US, but we have a hard time getting the Hexagon tiles here. So some Home Depots have them and some don't. So I actually ordered them by the case after she showed a video where she used them. And they came today, so I'm super excited. So back to the Shelley's course. Sorry, I have like major ADD sometimes. So if you haven't taken the course and you want to take it, my 15% off code is in the description box below. Give yourself a nice Christmas gift, you know. So this is our pillow paint, so it's used to kind of coat our surface and move our design around. My pillow paint and what I like to use are in the description box below. The one I'm using today is the rest of some oopsie paint that I got, but it's interior wall paint, usually satin or semi-gloss in the United States. And this is light blue violet from Liquitex. I think I'm going to buy the Amsterdam one though. This one's just kind of thick, so I had to thin this out quite a bit. And my usual pouring medium is using the Behr 8300 with Jo Sonja's glass varnish. I am going to try Jody's recipe where she uses 2 parts Behr, 1 part of the Glidden Base C semi-gloss, and 1 part Jo Sonja's. I have the stuff, I just haven't mixed it yet. So I'm using some stuff I already have mixed. This is Love You Pink from Colourarte. A beautiful soft pink. It's great for this too because the interference violet kind of works beautifully with this color. Next up is Freesia from Colourarte. And woo, beautiful, beautiful. I'm a fan of most things purple. And I think I meant to put the interference violet sparkle underneath the Freesia. Oops. So I'll just put it on the top. I mean, you can't have too much sparkle. Next up, I believe, is Tanzanite by Colourarte. Also, anything you need from the Colourarte website, use our promo code below for 20% off. Beautiful, beautiful pigments. And of course the prism paint. There's 4 prism pour paints out. Brand new Putting on the Glitz set is out. I have a swipe in there that I did the other day, but I keep babysitting it and watching it. I don't know which one of these videos is going to get edited first. But the swipe, honestly, using some of the Putting on the Glitz and the swipe, the colors took my breath away. So this is Abalone shell from Colourarte. The interference colors can be used in resin and in acrylic. So super cool. And this one is just interference violet. This one is not the sparkle. This is just the interference violet. And then underneath the cell activator, just to give it a little extra something to hold on to, I'm going to add some more of the blue violet, and then we'll blow it out. And I don't want to be super redundant and do all 4 of these together, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, super cool. Once I finish these and resin these and figure out how to put the cork back on them, they will be in our Etsy store. That blue violet is a little bit thick, but if you do see them and you're interested in them, you're welcome to message me first, and then I don't have to go through the trouble of putting them on our Etsy store. I'm getting better about that. If you watch our channel, you know I'm bad about it. Okay, here we go. This is the world's smallest leaf blower. Also in the description box. Get it on Amazon. It's good for coasters. Ooh, I've gone a little far there. Let that regroup a little bit. I think that's because my blue violet was a little thick. See? That is exactly what it was. So I might need to thin it out a little bit more, but we'll see how we do. The bottom paints were thinner, so while it's regrouping, we'll cover our edges with the pillow paint. Just makes it spin out a little bit easier. There's just going to be some parts that don't have as much lacing, which is unfortunate. But I also didn't put as much pillow on because I tend to put too much. But I can get that to open up a little bit, but I don't always like to do that. I think we'll just let it be. Every time I mess with it too much, I usually end up regretting it. And I'm sure you can't tell, but this edge is a little bit elevated because the tape underneath it is a little wonky. Also, I have tons of dry paint in this little pool. When I first got it, I was like, I would put stuff in it and I would try to avoid that. And now I'm like, I don't necessarily always have time to fool with that. So the paint being too thick, and I think, I'm hoping that this one will recover, but the reason why that impacted the blowout of the cell activator is because it made it too thick for it to push it over the top. So that's why consistency matters so much. And so as a result, we kind of went down to the bottom of the canvas, or not the canvas, the tile, a little bit more than we normally would. They're still pretty, but compared to the other one that had great lacing, this one needed a little bit more work. So a lot of times I see people, or we get questions about, you know, why can't I get my paint to move? Well, sometimes your paint is just too thick. It's not, I mean, it's happened to all of us at some point. I like this one, but I don't love this one, you guys. Like, it's like naked. It doesn't have anything in them. I think we might do another one together. The first one, of course, that I didn't record was so beautiful. That's how it goes, though. When you don't record them, they turn out awesome. And then you're like, why didn't I record that? So, give me a second. I'm going to get another one. We'll do one more together. All right. Sorry about that. I also tore my foil and had to replace it. So while I'm doing all of this, I'll show you what I mean about the paint. So I think it's just been thickening up because I've been out here. It's kind of lumpy. Okay, so here is the trick I told you. Take a little pipette, just a little bit of water, not a lot, because you can't mix too much water into paint at a time. It breaks pigments down, and it breaks down the binders and the structure of your paint. So especially with this recipe, you have to be careful to mix slowly, and the varnish in there is going to help kind of hold everything together. It's still a little thick, but we wouldn't want to do that all at one time. So just a couple drops. This is why I said I might buy Amsterdam's color of this. I love the Liquitex one. The Liquitex paint is thick. Amsterdam paint is a little bit creamier. So that's still a little thick. So we can do one of two things. We can keep adding. We can add in a little more pouring medium, but the pouring medium I have mixed up is pretty thick too. So I think I'm just going to add a couple more drops of water. I also see a few questions in the Colourarte acrylic pouring group, which if you're a fan of Colourarte, please join the Facebook group, because a lot of the questions that you have, we try to answer, or we try to provide like ongoing support with, hey, you know, so-and-so just released another video, so you can see how people are using them and what works best for everyone, because there is a learning curve with pigments. But some of the questions that we see, like in the group or in other paint pouring groups, might be about the paint being too thick when it's mixed with pigments. Quite the opposite should be the case unless you're using too much pigment. You don't really need a lot, so when you're mixing up your pigments, and I can't speak for all pigments, but I can speak for Colourarte, you can mix it directly into your pouring medium. Just mix it into about a third. When I say pouring medium, I'm specifically talking about blooms right now. Mix it into about a third until it's dissolved. and your pigments are evenly dispersed into the material, and then add more pouring medium if you need to. But my dog is snoring, if you guys can hear her. But sometimes someone asked a question recently and their work looked beautiful, but it also looked like maybe they might have overly pigmented, and maybe that's why things were getting a little thick. So this is still kind of thick. It's definitely better. This is more like you want it to flow, not drip, but flow off the stick a little bit. And I think the longer I sit out here and talk, the worse this gets. Plus, I mixed some new stuff into a batch that was already mixed up for a while now. I think I can work with this, because the rest of the paint's pretty fluid. Okay, so that's just a fun demonstration for you guys. So a little bit of pillow. Hopefully this one will go a little bit, but I am going to use a little more pillow to give a little wiggle room. That's how I get so messy. Just touch everything. All right, Blue Violet. I'm gonna string it around a little bit more so it doesn't all stay in one place and create an obstacle. It's spreading out pretty decently, so although it's still a little thick, hopefully it'll work. All right, next up is Love You Pink. It's been kind of fun working with these pastel colors. You see how this is? This is a lot more what we're looking for. This is why I like to use pigments. I don't have trouble with paint being too thick when I use pigments. Now we're going to use the Interference Violet Sparkle. And then Freesia. And I haven't decided if I'm going to scrape that little guy that we just did or keep him part of the set and he's just like the ugly duckling. Or I'm not going to scrape it. If I do anything, it'll be paint skins, jewelry and stuff. But all right, and then Tanzanite. Even though I redid my tape, it still seems like either my new tape is crooked or the one underneath it is crooked. Whatever. And then Abalone shell. Interference Violet on top of this one. This one's a little thick too, actually. And then that one's also a wee bit thick. And I'm not going to put as much at the top this time. Well, I kind of lied. That may be too thick. Get over here in the center. All right, Blue Violet Cell Activator. Cell Activator is 3 parts Amsterdam to 1 part Australian Floetrol. Better. Getting some resistance. Tempted to hit that, but kind of learned not to do that. Much better. Not perfect. Much better. Pardon my head. So what I have learned is if you have a little bit too much in the center, it's going to probably sell up after a minute, but if you just gently blow on it, you kind of encourage it to, but you don't want to blow too much because then you get ugly cells. But the lacing is a lot better spread out this time. Yeah, I didn't really help it that much. Pardon my head there. Might have helped it a little. We'll see. This one will still look good composition-wise. Much better than the last one. So, hopefully. This is a long video. This was supposed to be a short video, you guys. So these will be resin finished. I have gotten a couple of suggestions for, so I like to buy self-adhesive cork backs for my square tiles. They work great. They don't need to be glued. I have no trouble with them. And I love that I can resin them, sand the back of them, clean them off, and off you go. These, they don't make them for these. So, they do make self-adhesive cork, like in rolls that you can cut yourself. So I don't know if my Cricut will cut it or not. I'm gonna find out. If not, I will cut a stencil with my Cricut, and I'll have to cut it by hand and either cut the cork and then glue or buy the self-adhesive. But I am kind of picky. I like it to be a good thickness. I don't want them to be flimsy. So I know that like people get tired of making tiles and all that. Yeah, me too. But I love to do color test on tiles. So if the color test works out, see, this is much better from a composition perspective. If the color test works out, then I'm gonna just finish the set. I'm not gonna, because tiles and coasters still sell for us, especially at our markets and stuff like that. And people still like them as gifts, and there you go, look at that. The flash is kind of working against us here, but so is the autofocus. Can you please stop with the autofocus? I hope it hasn't been blurry for you guys this whole time. Much better. So anyway, let us know if you're interested in these. Otherwise, I will eventually throw them up on Etsy, but we'll let them dry for a little bit and resin finish them and all that. But I think they're so pretty. So I'm so excited to try the hexagons. Like I said, tiles, you know, they're just tiles, but they're great to practice on, and they're great gifts. And I really enjoy making them. You know, I also am a Tumblr artist, and so I oftentimes have a little bit of resin left over after I do something that would be beneficial if I had something to throw some stuff on. So having tiles ready and waiting is helpful. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate your support. Please like, subscribe, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. What do you think about that ugly duckling? Should he stay in the set? Probably not. Anyway, take care. Merry Christmas also. Bye.